by repeating the same process over and over again. You only grow by experimenting. If you're a marketer out there, or if you're a sales guy, when you put a funnel together, do you know it's going to work straight away? No.
Yeah.
Trial and error, A/B testing, it takes time.
Well, welcome to the True Man Podcast. Now, what does it take to rise from the ashes, to come back, to have redemption and overcome the odds and be a champion in life? Now, my experience is that you got to roll up your sleeves and be willing to do some hard work, because success and happiness in life is going to come with a price. And if you're willing to pay it and work hard to overcome the odds, you will stack the deck in your favor. And I'm willing to bet today's guest probably thinks similarly to what I just said. So let's see. Meet Baz Porter. He is a high-performance coach, keynote speaker, #1 international best-selling author, and someone who helps companies and groups of various sizes achieve their ultimate potential. And Baz is going to tell us a little bit about his life transformational story today, I'm sure. Baz, it is good to speak with you, brother.
Mike, thank you very much for allowing me to be here with you today. It's a true privilege to be speaking with you.
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting, Baz. So I was preparing for the show, and I was just telling you this a little bit before we started recording this. I realized that both of us had events in 2019 that caused a real turning point in our lives. So we have that going for us. We have that in common. Talk about that and how you've gotten to this point today where you're doing this coaching, and what happened in 2019 to transform your life?
In essence, I had a spiritual awakening. I was gifted as a child. Growing up, I was bullied at school. Instead of doing my work, I was looking out windows and just not paying attention. People called me thick. I was dyslexic. None of that existed back then.
Yeah.
And if you're of 35 and plus, then you can relate to this. It was just, you were stupid and you got bullied. That was just the way of life. But I shut a lot of what I was doing and what I was seeing down at a very early age, because I was scared. And I was scared of what I could see and what I was told not to believe in by parents, peer groups, etc. And my forces career, I opened it back up again, shut it down afterwards through drugs and alcohol. In 2019, after being homeless for about 12 years and going in and out of addiction and many other things, being a complete idiot basically for 12 years, and I was never at the top of someone's Christmas list for about 12 years, I will assure you.
We're going to give you some grace, Baz. We know everybody's got to learn in their own time, okay?
Yeah, 12 years is a long time to learn, but I eventually learned it, and the pinnacle was I had a reset in life where the noise, we call it noise, the inner voice was speaking that loudly. I had to go and move and do something that wanted an internal shift. And people call it clairvoyance. I'm not a clairvoyant. I am not a medium. I don't like speaking to dead people, but I actually channel. It's something that I've got to know and become informed as quantum physics, quantum intelligence, universal consciousness, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And I channel information. And that information was piling up basically behind a door, and it was stacking up, and it was telling me to move and change my life. And all the voices in the head, I'm not schizophrenic, don't worry, all the self-doubt in the head, all the negativity that other people's belief systems have told me that I couldn't do something for so long, was there going, you amount to nothing, you can't do this. That was all still there. The noise got that loud from my internal voice saying, do it. Actually, at the time I was on Facebook. I'm not there anymore. And I came on Facebook and I said I was a healer and I was a coach. I wanted to be a coach and do all that. And I just listed a big essay, basically as a post. And I pressed send and it stopped. But that was the beginning of my journey. And it was the beginning where the voices calmed down, but I stepped into a different role of who I truly was. And that developed from there. I had no confidence. I had no resources at the time, as in no money, nobody wanted to support me. And I was working as a gardener. I managed to hold down a job as a gardener for a few months. But all of this was in disarray because I stepped into something else. And someone actually reached out to me in early 2018 to be an admin on their Facebook. And it had 4,000 followers at the time. I grew it to 36,000 followers within 6 months. And I was helping people, talking to them, listening to their problems, to their doubts, to their fears. And what I didn't know, it was setting the foundation of what I'm doing today. And I was taking all my skills from the army, from the military, my experiences through addictions, alcohol, drugs, being a complete idiot for a lot of years. But I was now using everything that I'd been through to help other people.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit. What kind of shift goes on? You have your own stuff, and now all of a sudden you're seeing everybody else's. What kind of shift goes on in the middle of seeing everybody else's that all of a sudden, was it I'm not alone all of a sudden, or what's going on there, Baz? Talk about it.
It's interesting because I don't usually answer these questions. I've got my own podcast. I'm usually asking these questions.
I'm curious.
It was a purpose shift for me. I went from having no reason to be alive and thoughts of truly unaliving myself multiple occasions in multiple different ways and trying to suddenly having purpose and providing that purpose by elevating their lives, giving them hope.
What did it feel like for you to be gaining that purpose back in your life?
That's a very great question. It felt as if I was a part of society again.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'd removed myself so much from everything you can imagine in people's lives. I was hated by a lot of people, still am, and that's their version of me, and that's okay. But once I really dug deep within myself, I found the purpose. I found I was wanted somewhere. And during COVID, this came out hugely in COVID, where people had separated their lives from their families. They didn't know who their spouses were or partners were, their children even. And when they came, we were forced to be enclosed. They had to relearn how to live with them again. And I've got friends now who are like, I don't know how to speak to my wife. She speaks a different language. And clients come to me and go, I don't know how to deal with this. I'm like, I'm not a relationship coach. This is going to hurt what I'm going to tell you, but it's going to be okay. And that was that process for me. I had to learn to speak a different language, not just for the people I was helping and serving, but within myself.
Yeah.
I had to reinvent myself. And that's not easy.
No.
It takes time. But going back to your point earlier, it takes a dedication and something within yourself to go, I can be more. There is more. I'm not just the shell of the person that I've become through the experiences that I've been subjected to. Yes, they were painful, but what did I learn from it? What did I gain from it? Not what did I lose?
And let me ask you this. A lot of times we listen to those voices in our heads and we hear those negative voices. But in order to make that transformation, you've got to hear the positive one. You've got to hear the one that says, okay, all those people said that stuff. Now, I'm not listening anymore. Mm-hmm. I want to go a different direction. What was that trigger for you?
They're still there. The voices never go away. But what I've learned to do is associate with the positive, but not necessarily ignore the disempowering voice, because that's a previous version of me that needs healing.
Yeah.
And I'll name them. This is the way I do it. If we're going to go down that road, it's fine.
It's a good way to do it, actually.
Yeah, and I will name them. I'll call them stupid names. And I'll say, I'll speak to you later. When I have that conversation, we can address that. But at the moment, I'm concentrating on this. This is what I have to be. This is the role I have to do, be in the moment. I won't ignore you, but you're going to be on the naughty step for a couple of hours.
Right.
And when I'm ready to have that conversation with you, I'll address you, Larry, and then we'll have that conversation and find out what's really going on. So it enabled me to associate and separate the negative from the positive, but concentrate in the moment of it's a must. I will complete this task. I'm not going to procrastinate and listen, but I'm not going to ignore that because it needs addressing, it needs healing, it needs re-identification of that part of me that was bullied, damaged, hurt, whatever the scenario is, to be brought back into a balance. So if you're now going, oh, I've got all the voices, you're not crazy. And they're a part of you. They don't go. And if anybody tells you they do, they're lying to you because we're human.
In fact, I would dare say that those voices are normal. Now, what you do with those voices, therein lies the rub, right?
But there's a belief and an identity. And your identities are directly correlated with your beliefs.
Yep.
And also the set of the set of rules you have with them beliefs. And then there's another level to that. I'm not going to bore you with the psychology of it, but it's just the values of everything. And if they're not matching up and you've got voices going that are playing out from a 6-year-old version of you, telling you you're not worthy, you can't get rich, you can't do something, you're limited, then you need to put yourself into uncomfortable environments to elevate your perception and create a new persona, a new identity, someone that you aspire to be and get driven to be every single day. David Goggins speaks about this when he's in so much pain and his body wants to shut down. His mind goes, no, you're doing it, and you're going to complete the next mile, and then you're going to complete another mile. And he continues. But it's the emotional self-awareness, the self-discipline to do so, and the knowing who you are despite everything that's going on around you. Despite the naysayer, despite the child version of yourself going, you can't do it. Because that defines who you're going to become in 6 months' time. And it's not going to change overnight, but it's the 2 millimeter incremental shifts, the decisions and choices you make in that painful moment. And that's what I had to go through in 2019, where I had to make very painful choices.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be the person I am becoming, because I'm nowhere near the person I want to be. But I wouldn't be on that path if it wasn't for that shift within myself and then voices within me saying, become more, do more, be of service, create hope. You are a change maker, you are a visionary. But in order to become that you want to be, whatever that is, you have to make the first step. And you've got to go and face yourself.
Yeah.
And along that journey, you fall. And it's painful.
It is painful. And, I've heard this said, and I use it because I think it's a good analogy. And I think it's an important one that, we're kind of all construction workers. In other words, we're always under construction. We're never done. And if you look at it from that perspective, I think, it's a good way to look at it, because you can get to a point where you can move through the pain of some of the crap that you've been through, but at the same time, you can continue being present and pushing forward by knowing that, hey, I've come a long way. I could go further, and I think that a lot of people fail to see that, especially in the coaching community, Baz, and you and I were talking about this a little bit, there's a lot of coaches, consultants, whatever other word you want to put at, motivational people out there that paint this picture that the, sun comes up every morning and it's bright and shiny and the flowers are in full bloom. And the bottom line is, for most of us, some days we wake up and it ain't like that, man. And some days that's okay. And nobody wants to talk about that. But when you're under construction, you can go, well, it's kind of like playing baseball. Man, if you hit 400, you're in the Hall of Fame. But that means you didn't make it on base 6 out of 10 times. So, a little bit every day, and I say this all the time, and I've got this up on my desk here, 1% every day. If I can hit 1% every day, I'm going somewhere. My hunch is you probably feel the same way, and it's probably made a huge difference in your life. So if what I'm saying is true, how are you biting off a little bit every day at a time so you can be your best for you and be the best for the people that you work around?
I love that question. Can I just address one thing that shifted in me first before I answer?
Absolutely.
I realized there's no such thing as motivation.
There is some degree to that. Yeah, true.
And let me explain that. Everybody whinges about motivation and not having it. When you go to the bathroom, you need to be motivated to go. You have to. It's a need. You have to go.
Yeah.
But inspiration is different.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to be inspired within myself every single day to make that 1% shift. And I didn't need motivation. I needed the inspiration to trust and have faith within myself that that unseen part of me, the soul, whatever you want to call it, the spirit, hence inspiratum, inspiration, can drive you forward. Because no amount of shouting at me or putting a carrot on the end of a stick will make me move for something that I don't emotionally have the drive for, the inspiration to get from A to B. So if anybody now is going, I want to be motivated, go outside, give your head a shake, come back inside and say, what can I be inspired to be doing? Because that's a real question.
Yeah.
And don't be fooled by, I'm not knocking other coaches. I'm not ever knocking where you are, what levels you're playing at. But just think next time you're speaking to someone that says, I need motivation. It's the same when someone says, I need accountability. You don't need accountability. You need self-responsibility. Because that will drive you forward further than anything else by picking up the phone or getting on a Zoom call saying, I didn't do it. And then whinging to the other person about the 1,000 reasons why you didn't do it and not taking responsibility for yourself.
It's a really good point, Baz. I have people that call me and talk to me and they say, man, I need some accountability. Now, what's interesting about that, and I'll give you this, this is a very basic thing. I may say, okay, let's take accountability for setting up the coaching dates. Holy cow. You'd have thought I'd given them a rocket science project.
Mm-hmm.
And, am I keeping them accountable? Yes. It's up to them to be inspired to get it done. And, we can accomplish great things together, but it's not about me. It's about you. If you reached out to me,
Mm-hmm.
and people are just not self-aware enough, unfortunately, to know.
That's what's happened though, Mike, because the day and age of the quick dopamine fix has happened.
Oh man.
So we're less emotionally aware. We're less spatially aware because we're always looking for that fast fix.
Yep.
Whether it's porn, whether it's alcohol, whether it's social media scrolling, the dopamine, it releases that. What if you started to change that and change the habit and then go, actually, I didn't do it. And these are the reasons, honestly, why you didn't do it. And that's what I'm going to fix today. Or when the dark or the negative voices start to come in, then go and sit down with a piece of paper and write them down and find out what's really going on. Because that's what's going to move the needle. That's what's going to take you to that next level. Not, but I didn't do it because, and you bitch to someone about it for the next hour, and you've waited the coaching session where the coach is trying to help you. He can't help you, or you're still in cycling in the same lies and belief system that you've created what you've been put into. The coach is there to hold you responsible for your actions, not to be a sounding board. And if
it's an ownership issue, Baz. I mean, people are, I don't know when this started or how this started. And maybe I'm just nuts. I don't know. But people do not want to take ownership over their responsibility.
No, they don't. And I think it started with the invention, it started MySpace and some coming into everybody, because human nature is.
You mean some people want other people to think for them? Oh my God. No.
That's just it though. But they build communities and they follow like sheep. No one's prepared to step up and be a leader and lead from the front and accept responsibilities for what is, what could be, and what the possibilities are.
And in fact, when somebody does, you're almost considered an outlier.
But I prefer to be an outlier and shunned and victimized and called them many names, which I won't go into on the podcast because it's not one of the podcasts.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. But I prefer to be called that than normal. I'm people who have intelligent, visionary conversations and challenge the normality of society. They're the places I want to be. They're the excitement of life. And nothing happens when you're sat at home on the couch. Not to you anyway. Eating crisps and watching whatever show you want to watch because you're not willing to go, let's go explore outside. Let's go for that walk. Let's book that call. Let's pick up that phone to the CFO or CEO that I don't really want to speak to and make that call.
Baz, we're in America. We eat Cheetos, not crisps. Okay. You know this. Come on.
Sorry, I do apologize. I had to revert back then to the UK. I'm completely.
No, but it's so true, man. It's so true. Talk about that a little bit. I mean, you help people get to the next level. Yeah. What is it going to take for somebody to get out of their own way and say, I'm not doing this anymore. I want to go to, and I use next level because a lot of people use it so they know what I'm talking about. Like, what does it take to get there in this day?
Do you want the honest answer or do you want the bullshit answer?
I want the honest answer.
Is what it takes. Being so uncomfortable with your current surroundings that you have no choice but to accept a reality and face who you are and the mess you are in. That's the real answer. And when you do that, something is triggered within you that you will do anything to level up. I've seen people I won't say in which environments, sell and remortgage their houses to get to that next level. Mm-hmm. And that's a real thing. Because they know where they are isn't good enough. And they've created.
We're not suggesting that, by the way. But
no, please don't go and remortgage your houses. I don't ever.
Public service announcement.
Yeah. But you get so uncomfortable with the position and the excrement that you've surrounded yourself with. No, I said the excrement. I didn't swear. Good.
You're doing good, Baz.
I'm not very vanilla. I will
your self-control today is exceptional, everybody.
Yeah. It's getting to that next level, but you've got to face who you truly are, and then you've got to want it bad enough to see the value within yourself. And it doesn't become a transactional as in a sales call. It's a true coach, somebody who is getting you to that next level, isn't there for the money. They're not there for the celebrity, fame, success. That isn't a coach. A coach is someone in the background going, I'm your cheerleader. I will help you build that blueprint congruently for your life with all your beliefs and leveling them up and challenging them and all the rest of it. And we'll help you through the pain. We'll support you. But we're not going to sit there and go, it's okay. And what you've done is completely fine, because that's what got you into the mess in the first place.
Yeah.
Because someone told you that it was fine and it's okay to continue. When your room or house is a mess, your brain's a mess.
Yeah.
How do you declutter the house? You can't declutter the brain. When I walk into a business, I'm not going to name the business, and I walk into a corporate office, I will look for the untidy desks. I will look for things out of place, because they're the people I want to speak to first. Because if their outside space is a mess and there's paperwork piled up, there's sticky notes everywhere, there's nothing wrong with that. But there's something going on internally within them. If I walk into a CEO's or a CFO's office, I will observe everything in that place, because I want to get into the mind of the person so I can help them. Pain is the only way to face it. And that's the reality. No one's going to give you a cookie and go, eat this. You're going to go and see Alice in Wonderland, and you're going to come back completely fine. It's not the Matrix. It's not a film. This is reality. And you have to accept the responsibility change within yourself first. Pain is the only way to face it. And it's the first stepping stone of creating a new way of life for yourself and for other people around you. You affect directly everybody else around you, whether you know it consciously or not. That's just reality.
Yeah, I agree with you. I wish there was another way to go about success in life, but it seems to me, at least everybody that I talk to, there's some degree of pain or suffering or obstacle, or I mean, there's just a wide range of words we could plug in there that you're either going to have to go around or go through in order to get to the other side.
People talk about this growth, the buzzwords like growth and transformation. Transformation and growth happens when you face what you don't want to face.
Yeah.
You're not going to grow by repeating the same process over and over again. You only grow by experimenting. If you're a marketer out there, or if you're a sales guy, when you put a funnel together, do you know it's going to work straight away? No.
Yeah.
Trial and error, A/B testing, it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
The same when you run a business. Most people go in and they become business operators. They're working in the business. They try to do everything. The moment you realize you're not an expert in everything, and you can't do marketing, you can't do sales, you can't do social media, you can't do all of the stuff that everybody else likes doing, but you're the owner, and you've got to delegate, take responsibility, pivot, forward pace, future pace.
Yeah.
Then it's a whole different ballgame. When you look at your numbers and you realize you can't spend your profits in a business, and you've got to have cash flow, and you've got to have margins, and people go, what the hell's all that stuff? I don't know what to do. Well, my mind's going to explode. And that's what happens. You come into overwhelm, and all of a sudden you've done 6 months of work and you've achieved absolutely nothing. But the reason is simply you haven't faced who you want to be. Yeah. There's an internal struggle with you going, you can't do it. You're not able to. And we're trying to pile stuff onto you and wake you up, because that's the way the universe works, until you start listening, until you start stepping back and going, okay, what do you want me to listen to? Whether you're a belief in God or whatever religion you are, it doesn't matter. The moment you say, I'm listening and I'm willing to change and I'm willing to put the work in, is the moment your life will change. But it won't happen overnight. It won't happen in 3 months. Because, like you said earlier, Mike, you're always in construction.
Yeah.
But be willing to make the first step. Be willing to ask for help. Ask Mike for help.
Yeah, I wrote a whole chapter on the power of asking for help. In fact, we're going to talk more about it.
But it's about asking and making that first step to within yourself to go, okay, I need some support.
Yeah.
I get CFOs come to me and say, how do I make a team perform higher in a high-stake situation? And I would say, okay, what's the psychology of your team? Who's performing best? Who's performing worst? Because you can only run at the slowest pace of the person, the slowest paced person. And it may be that if they were good for 6 months, then all of a sudden they're late for work. And instead of having a go at them, ask them what's going on.
Yeah.
Because if they've got a track record of being on time, they're fully energized, they're focused, and then the next week, 6 months later, they're coming in, their shirt's hanging out, they're 10 minutes late, their hair's a mess, they've got bags under their eyes, something's wrong. Ask them a direct question. Help me understand what's happening. And 9 times out of 10, the person will go, I'm going through a divorce. I found my partner cheating. My kids have got ADHD and I don't know how to handle it. I've had no sleep for 7 weeks. Something is going on. Ask them the question. Be human to them.
Yeah, I think care enough to care, right? I mean, it sounds so simple.
But it's these changes within yourself will affect your outside environment. So how to change a high-stakes situation? Ask a simple question. Ask for help. Ask somebody that has been there before. Most coaches that I've found have dyslexia, some form of ADHD or ADD, whatever you want to call it, whatever box I'll think of next. And that we have other gifts. We see things in a different perspective.
Yeah.
And it's not based on a methodology. It's based on experience. I've never had a coaching certification, but I could probably tell you more about life than anybody else. But so can Mike.
Yeah, it's not about certifications and degrees. It's about having the heart to care and listen and guide folks. And
that just makes you a good person.
Yeah, for sure.
There's nothing about the labels that we come up with. I stopped being a high performance coach for one reason. It was overused. I'm a life design consultant. That's what I do. And it's a different way of approaching it. But I'm not a coach. Coaches are to a penny. And the moment you step into the human side of it is the moment you will start changing people's lives. I had a call this morning, 15 minutes it lasted. And I gave him a blueprint to, I think it was $50,000 in 6 months by changing one thing. And I gave him enough drive to do it. He was traveling to the airport. And he came up with just what you said earlier, all the excuses of why couldn't.
Right.
And that wasn't a coaching session, that was just a quick call. And I said, I'm going to phone you in 6 months. And I've made a note in my calendar. And I said, I want to see you have 10 clients at $5,000. If you haven't, I want to know why. It's that simple to listen, to understand somebody's world. That's what makes somebody not just good, but great. And it's a pathway not just to greatness, but to excellence.
Amen, Baz. And I know you got an appointment that you need to get to, so we're going to wrap this up today. And but to let everybody know, how can they get a hold of you, and what's your, give us a little information. We'll of course put this on the podcast page, but go ahead and tell everybody how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, sure. I'm on LinkedIn, just Baz Porter on LinkedIn. I'm not on any other platforms because LinkedIn is where my clientele is. You can check out my website, ramsbybaz.com, or I'm going to send you a link where you can book a 15-minute call with me and we can have a conversation. I must stress it's not a sales call. I'm not going to sell anything to you. If you want a conversation, just jump on and say hello. Let's see if I can help, even in that 15 minutes.
Awesome. Baz, it was great talking with you. I enjoy talking with you so much. And I love the authentic conversation. And so thank you for being on the True Man podcast. Appreciated hearing your story today.
Thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate your time.